Hey guys, I got a deal for you today. I'm going to do my best to keep Lincoln's attention while I teach this lesson. And hopefully if I can keep his attention, I'll be able to keep your attention. And if things get a little too hectic, then we'll go ahead and cut off the lesson, all right? The title today is Lessons with Lincoln. Lessons with Lincoln, right? That's what we're calling it, right? Okay, so we're going to go to Philippians chapter number 4. Philippians chapter 4, y'all can go ahead and turn there. I had it marked, there it is. And this Lessons with Lincoln, the first thing that we're going to look at is a couple of things that Paul points out that we need to check. Listen. We need to check ourselves about a couple of things, right, Lincoln?
Yeah.
We need to first of all check our attitude, right?
Yeah.
What is an attitude?
For being a naughty boy.
Oh, yeah. Being a naughty boy. Okay, so an attitude. Guys, you got to check your attitude. The very first thing that Paul goes into in this chapter, after he is, we connected the first part of it with stand fast in verse 1. We talked about that last week, or on Sunday. But today in verse number 2, he calls out a couple people and he tells them that he wants them to be of the same mind. He says, I implore Euodia and I implore Syntyche to be of the same mind in the Lord. And then in verse 4, he says, rejoice in the Lord. And again, I say rejoice, or rejoice always. And again, I will say rejoice. Now, those two things, the first part, keeping in the same mind, unity, and the second part, keeping the rejoicing, to me speak to our attitude. We need to have an attitude of unity and joy. We need to have an attitude that reflects Jesus Christ. Right, Lincoln?
Yeah.
What is an attitude again?
Being naughty with a spanking.
Yeah, a naughty where you need a spanking. Okay. And then, listen, guys, when we look at verse number 2 and 4, we see those things. We see that we need to have our attitude in the right place. Paul called these two people out for their behavior, for their discord, their division. And now, not only do we need to keep our attitude in check, but also we need to keep our actions in check. In verse number 3, he says to the people, help these that I've been working with. And he goes through this list, right? And then in verse 5, he says, let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. Lincoln, what does it mean to be gentle?
Being a good boy.
Being a good boy, yeah. So when we are gentle, it means that you're being kind, you're being gracious to other people, you're being patient with people. What? Yeah, you're going to go get that leaf off? Let's not do that right now. How about this? Listen, we want to keep our attitude in check, but we also want to keep our actions in check. We want to make sure that we do good, that our behavior is what would reflect Jesus Christ. No, look at me. You're going to listen. Remember? What? The bird? Where?
Right there. Can you see it?
Do you see the bird in the camera? Keep looking for it. All right. So we keep our attitude in check. We keep our actions in check. Now our actions, they say your actions speak louder than words. Well, that's very true in a lot of ways. And while we need to keep our words in check, we need to keep our actions in check. Okay? So listen to me. In verse number 5, he says, let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. And then not only do we need to keep our attitude and our actions in check, but we need to keep our anxieties in check. All right? We need to keep our anxieties. To be anxious, it means that you're just constantly worried. You're overly worried. You're stressing over different things. And in verse 6, he says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. What an awesome thought that is. Again, talking about peace and having that peace in our hearts. But it came when anxiety is there in your life and in your heart. When you hand that over and you start praying about those situations, he says, don't be anxious. The opposite of being anxious is going to God in prayer, right? We go to God in prayer. But how do I go about this? How do I keep my attitude, my actions, and my anxieties all in check? Well, that's what I want to give you next. This is the application. What?
Tigers and werewolves.
Tigers and werewolves. Yes. Well, you gotta watch out for tigers and werewolves. But also, that's important. You heard it from Lincoln. But what else you need to know is how do we keep these things in check? Well, I just kind of wrote down a couple of thoughts here. We need to take, guys, seriously, an honest look. Okay? Give it an honest look. Which means you don't just, you're examining yourself. You're looking in those areas. Okay, how's my attitude today? How's my actions today? How are my anxieties today? Like,
Okay,
you take an honest look.
go
Listen, Lincoln. You take an honest look at those areas of your life. And when you see those areas, that's when you give them attention. Give it attention. So yes, give it an honest look, but secondly, give it attention. What?
There's lions and tigers and werewolves.
Yeah, lions and tigers and werewolves. We added lions to the list this time. So when you're looking at this situation, guys, I want you to say, okay, not only am I giving it an honest look, but when I find something, I'm going to give that area of my life attention. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to put the effort in, do the work to try to help those areas. But then third, I want you to give it time. Now hear me, time itself does not fix bad habits. But fixing bad habits takes time. So you need to give it time. Don't give up. Don't be discouraged simply because you didn't, overcome your anxieties or you didn't overcome some area of your life that you're trying to work on. Guys, you need to give it time. So give it an honest look. Give it attention. Give it time. And then the last thing, give it to God. Hey, what does it mean to give it to God?
Because He always gets the tiger and the lion, the werewolf food, and they will be happy.
Yeah, He takes care of the lions, the tigers, and the werewolves, and we're all happy about that. I don't know why He's fixated on those things. But, listen, the Bible teaches that we need to give our burdens, give our sorrows, give our struggles to God. We need to give our anxieties to Him. We need to give our attitude and our actions to Him and allow Him to work in our lives. Lincoln, do you have anything else that you need to say?
You climb on the tree and call Mommy and Daddy, and I get stuck on the tree.
Okay. All right, guys, you heard it there. Lessons from Lincoln. We need to be careful with all of the tigers, the lions, and the werewolves. Be careful when you're climbing trees. We need to be sure that our attitudes, our actions, and our anxieties are all in check. And guys, remember that you are loved not only by me and Erica, not only by your youth leaders and by our kids. You are loved more importantly by Jesus Christ. He gave His life to have a relationship with you.
When Sis was lying on a tree, she'll always get trouble.
Great. She always gets in trouble. Guys, I love you. We will talk to you later, all right? Bye. I recorded this from our new golf cart, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. I meant to start off by saying that. This is our new golf cart. I hope you like it. When we all get back together, we will go out on a ride. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Talk to you later.